Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good day all. My name is Muhammad Al-Amin bin Anwar, metric number 265095. I would like to present about sexual harassment in the workplace. Okay, when we talk about sexual harassment in the workplace, sexual harassment is a common issue that is known worldwide by most of the people in the world, no matter from what country he or she is. And Malaysia is also not to be missed about this issue. According to YouGov Omnibus, who conducted a survey on 1st December of 2019, 36% of Malaysian women have experienced sexual harassment compared to men, which only 17% have ever faced this issue. Sexual harassment usually can happen everywhere. It can be in public places, learning institutions, worship places, and even in the workplace. It can happen between the colleague, co-worker and management, teacher and student, and so on. Many victims of this inappropriate sexual harassment issue are not reporting their harassment because of certain stigma that have been set by the family, society, and even ambiguities in policies. And sadly to say, this kind of situation unfortunately has led to the increment of number of sexual harassment in Malaysia just because of the victim keeping their mouth silent regarding to the shame that they feel. This unethical behavior such sexual harassment in the workplace will lead to such a poison workplace environment which will lead to many consequences toward the organization and the victim itself. Okay, next we will talk about the literature review, where I can say that sexual harassment can be defined as inappropriate or offensive sexual conduct, threatening, embarrassing, or humiliating, and can impact the job performance, well-being, career, or livelihood of an employee. Under sexual harassment, there are another type of sexual harassment which we can call as sexual coercion, which is sexual coercion is another type of sex harassment that usually happen in the workplace, which influence someone's employment status directly through employment discrimination. When we talk about sexual harassment, it can be in various forms for such physical sexual harassment, psychological, visual, gestural, verbal, and non-verbal. Let's take an example. If someone showing you inappropriate video or picture that contain pornography element, it can be categorized as visual sexual harassment. While for the sexual coercion, it can happen between the subordinate and the superior, which the aim of sexual coercion is to gain some benefit, or in other case, it can be a threat to the employee. There are some other cases that employees are willing to have sex with the employer just in order to get a promotion. And the other side, the employer also threaten the employee by using their authority to fire them if they refuse the sexual invitation that may be made to them. And this will bring such effect on the individual or the victim itself, which is employee that experience sexual harassment tend to feel unsafe and unmotivated at their own workspace or workplace since they have been treated in such a same situation. And this situation will lead to a bad job performance since the employee will work under a stressed mind and absenteeism in order to avoid this issue from happen again. And some of them will withdraw the job since they depressed with the job instead of gaining job satisfaction in their workplace. Okay, next, effect on organization. Alright, sexual harassment also give an effect to the organization, which is the profitability of the organization or company can decrease due to employee low morale, organization reputation, also can be ruined since this issue going to be spread outside of the workplace. Employer also need to spend a lot of money just because of the liability cost of the sexual harassment cases that occur in their workplace. And employee turnover are likely to give a big impact toward the organization since employees are less likely to stay work in the toxic place environment, and this will burden the organization, which they may need to always spend much of money in order to train the new employees. Okay, next is Sexual Harassment Act in Malaysia. Cases of sexual harassment in Malaysia are usually dealt under penal code that cover any physical form of the sexual harassment, which is Penal Code Act 574 in bracket section 509, and the Code of Practice on the Prevention and Eradication of Sexual Harassment in the Workplace in 1999. This code of practice providing the private sector companies with guidelines in dealing with the sexual harassment issues in the workplace. However, the code are optional whether the company are going to implement it in their workplace since it does not carry the force of law. And any sexual harassment that happen in the workplace will be treated under the Employment Act 1955 in the part of XVA. Alright, next, according to the statistic that been released by the Royal Malaysia Police (PDRM), the number of cases of sexual harassment in 2017 that have been reported to them, Kuala Lumpur are at the top of the chart with 17.2%, followed by Johor and Selangor, which is 16.5% and 15.7% respectively, and Terengganu record the least cases of sexual harassment with only 0.7%. And from this statistic, it can be said that most reported gender on these cases, which with 78.9%, is female compared to the male, which carry only 21.1%. Okay, move to the next part, which is discussion. Okay. In terms of violation of the business ethics, sexual harassment is such unethical behavior that done by someone that don't have responsible and they do with intention. And sexual harassment have violated one of the code of ethics, which is moral right, which are also known as human right, that are referring to the right that all human beings have to an equal degree simply because they are human beings. Basically, there are three types of moral right, namely as negative right, positive right, and contractual right. And sexual harassment have violated one of them, which is negative right. For negative right, it can be defined as the responsibility that others do not have to interfere with the right of holders that doing certain activities. And this situation suit with the sexual harassment cases since the harasser it disturb the privacy of the victim itself. And in my opinion, there are many factors on why sexual harassment occur in the workplace, and I can bring a few of them, which is the lack of religious education, victims' personalities and appearance, abuse of power, and the privacy of workspace. And this is among of the major factor on why sexual harassment can occur in the workplace. And ways to overcome the sexual harassment from occur in the workplace by introducing the sexual harassment policy and implementing anti-sexual harassment environment. And for the victim itself, they can make a lodge report to the authority body such police or to the management itself. There are some cases where the victim are shamed to make a report either to the management or police, about the harassment that they have experienced in the workplace, since it seems like to humiliate themselves. But if this happen, the harasser will feel safe to do the sexual harassment again and again, since he or she knows that the victim will remain silent and doing nothing toward them. And if this happen, it will encourage more sexual harassment to be occur in the workplace. So by doing the report to the management of the company or the police as well, further action will be taken to the harasser, and this will make them regret on their action, since they will be punished on their unethical. I think that's all from me. Thank you.